When harm from a pandemic is a matter of certainty or even a preponderant possibility, then the believer is obliged to adopt certain preventative measures. From amongst the preventative measures that the Prophet, peace be upon him, advised is his recommendation: if you hear of a plague in a land, then do not enter it, and if it appears in a land where you are, then do not leave it. To provide a little context of this, the leader of the believers, Umar ibn al-Khattab, set out with a large group from the city of Medina to the Levant. The Levant is a chunk of land that includes Palestine, Jordan, Lebanon and Syria. On his way there, he was met by the commanders of the armies of the Levant. It was here that the news reached them that a plague had broken out. Umar ibn al-Khattab consulted the companions and they offered a range of opinions. Some advised that he continue his journey deeper into the land where the plague had broken out, whilst others advised that he return to the city of Medina. Eventually, Umar ibn al-Khattab opted for the latter. They returned to the city of Medina. It's worth exploring the differing opinions of the companions. What was the motivation of the companions who advised that he should continue his journey into the land where the pandemic had broken out? And why did the leader of the believers opt to return to the city of Medina? You see, the companions who advised him to continue into the Levant, where a pandemic had broken out, did so based on their conviction that pandemics and disease are in the hands of Allah. From their perspective, taking the road back to the city of Medina has every appearance of fleeing from fate. And this is the exact sentiment the spokesperson of the group expressed. The companion Abu Ubaidah asked, "O leader of the believers, are you fleeing from fate?" To which Umar ibn al-Khattab responds, "O Abu Ubaidah, how I wish somebody else had asked that question. Of course we are fleeing from fate, but we are running towards fate." Here's what's interesting. This specific prophetic narration had not yet reached all the companions. The companion Abdul Rahman ibn Auf was not present at the initial consultation. However, when he arrived later on, he informed them the words of the Prophet, peace be upon him: "If you hear of a plague in a land, then do not enter it. And if it appears in a land where you are, then do not leave it." There's a few ideas worth exploring. First and foremost, the idea of differences of opinion. You see, contagious disease is intrinsically connected to belief in fate. And so it is quite natural for differences of opinion to arise, just as we saw between the companions. Now, differences of opinions are of two types. The first is differences of variation, where one action can be completed in a variety of ways, with all of them being valid and correct, such as the valid differences of prayer and how to pray. Secondly, we have differences of contradiction, in which one of two contending views is the correct one. The issue of contagious diseases is clearly a case of contradiction. You either enter the land or you don't enter the land. And so setting such a difference requires preference to be assigned to one of the two sides. So why give preference to the decision made by Umar ibn al-Khattab? Amongst many reasons given, the most obvious factor is that his position directly aligns with the explicit narration of the Prophet, peace be upon him. We also learn the etiquette of navigating a dispute and differences of opinion. Neither Umar himself nor the companions condemned or even slandered one another. Finally, not traveling to or from a land where a contagious disease has appeared is a preventative measure based upon the rule of adopting the apparent physical means. It is through human contact that the apparent transfer of disease occurs from one person to another, and it is through travel that they jump from country to country and even continent to continent. And so when Islam prohibits travel in a pandemic, it is seeking to thereby restrict the spread of disease where that disease has not yet spread, in the hope that the means of apparent transfer can be blocked. May Allah grant His understanding. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.